Welcome, everybody, to the Gardens, the Untold Story. And just so everybody knows, Andy Lopez, our invisible gardener, is the gentleman that wrote the music that we played on our intros. So, Andy, you're a musician, you're an artist, you're a gardener, and so much more. But we put a question out as the title for this show. What's the most important tool in the garden? What's your answer to that, my friend?
Ooh, most important tool in the garden. Well, besides me, because I'm probably the most important tool in the garden. When I go in there as a tool meaning, of course, something different than the garden that is used to help work in the garden, not the actual garden and stuff. In other words, not the soil or rocks or even plants growing. It will be a tool that you can use, and you probably think refractometer, which is a really fun one to use because it is technically a real tool that you can actually use. But then again, if you're a really good gardener, you don't need that. You can just tell by looking. But it's very useful for other people who don't know. It doesn't look right. Well, look at this reading. The reading will change. So that's a very, very useful tool right there. And then there are lots of variety of other tools. Like I have this one cool little spade that's like 40, 50 years old. Very cool little device. So I like the old tools. I'm sticking literally stuff to tools, but I think I'm the best tool. We, the human beings, can be the best tool to manipulate the soil and the garden and make everything grow really good. Well, the good tools and bad tools, right? So I want to be a good tool.
Well, and that's the thing. Most people, though, when you ask that question, they say automatically, well, it's the gardener that is the main tool. Because if you're not in the garden seeing if there's bugs, if you're not moving your leaves around, if you're not there to see things, then that your garden's not going to succeed. But there's also the other side. It's not just the physical tools, our fingers, our eyes. No. There's other senses that we can use. Our brains is a big one. Why don't we cover a little bit more on that? Because that's really what the Untold Story is about. Is most people don't talk about the other tools that we can use in the garden other than just the physical side.
So the names that I give these songs is called inner gardening. Now, there's a reason why I do the song. I don't do it for people. I write it for the garden. My initial emphasis was to write music, but to us it's music, but in reality, the insects and the creatures and the plants and the trees, it's a blend of different types of frequencies and harmonies that you normally would find in nature. You see, so inner gardening to me, it does two things. It's that inner gardening inside of me, like meditating and being in touch with the universe, is one of the best tools I found to be in touch with nature. You can sit there and Mother Earth would talk to you, the earth would talk to you, the trees would talk to you, the clouds, the rocks. I think it was Leighton was saying everything's alive, even the rocks, and it's exactly true. That's it. Yeah. You have to look at it from that point of view, and then you go just a tiny bit deeper. You go, remember, I love the saying, we are one consciousness. Well, think about it, right? Think about it. And it's true. Classic music. So they're different. I've learned The Secret Life of Plants, one of my favorite books, where the girl plays, actually attaches a plant to a dial and plays the music. And you can hear the music coming from the trees. But one of the things I like about classical music is that the people that write the classical music also hear the frequencies. They hear it and they see this is a really cool tone, or this is a really cool note. What they're really saying is that frequency is really cool. I like what it does. And if it
how it makes me feel.
Right. If it affects us, it will also affect the plants. It affects the microbes in the soil, the birds, the insects, because they're not going, oh, I like the words. No, they're going, and the frequency is what makes it work, because the energy, everything depends upon the energy as a carrier.
Energy, frequency, vibration. It's all a synchronicity within us, our plants, and our general environment.
So the term consciousness to me means a certain frequency that goes beyond time and space, beyond dimensions. So a conscious of If we are one consciousness, I can travel from one part of my body to another part of my body instantly. If I am one, if the universe and I are one, I can travel to any part of the universe instantly through my consciousness. The consciousness is what connects us, connects me to all the different levels of frequency. That's right. That Nikola Tesla is one of my favorite uh, masters because he was all about frequency. But what he was doing was so cool. He learned just like I do. You have frequencies, but if you learn how to manifest the frequencies, how to use carrier waves, you can carry. See, up until recent, scientists were saying there's a difference between a wave and a particle. I kept going, no, 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 no.
Nope.
The particle rides the waves.
Yep.
You see what I mean? And so so people are just starting to learn this in quantum physics and learn all this stuff, that there's a lot more to this of the particle and the wave. And the consciousness is a blend of the two. The consciousness is rather unique because it's really more metaphysical. Consciousness is really more, you don't feel it, you don't touch it, but it's also part of the physical world. I mean, I'm just saying, this is my point of view, okay? And I get it from my experience, because my experience teaches me that whenever my consciousness is out there, the fabric of the universe is intertwined with all the, the letters. So all the words of power, certain words, are very powerful. And the reason is because they produce a physical vibration that vibrates out and interreacts with everything else. Physically, that's exactly what it does. I don't know. I mentioned here before about the image in water.
Yeah.
The Japanese doctor had the
Yamoto.
The Moto, you're right. He had the electron microscope, so you could see the image, right? And he started writing. Well, first he would meditate. You had a group around meditating. So then he said, well, how can I physically affect it? And so somehow his culture, because in Japanese they write things, with brush and paintbrush. And really, the lettering is very important. The style, that's certain energy. And you have flags everywhere. You have all these kinds, right? And so they know that the way you write a word is very, very powerful. So that's how it all got started. So he knew that from his history. So he started writing, and the words and he would put the words on a piece of paper and tape it to a glass of distilled water before and after and during. And you see, just the word alone changes. And what's cool about just writing the words is the words, the operator, right, the person who wrote the words, is now you don't write the words unconsciously, right? You don't just close your eyes.
You have intent.
Right, yeah, you don't and magically. No, you have to just physically write the words. And if you write the word love, for example, right, just saying the word love, your whole body starts to tune into a certain frequency, because the LOVE to us means more, because love in all these different languages is spelled differently, right? But it's still the same frequency.
Yep.
Yes, and it's so really cool, because I got into that really early on in life, because I was never really into a religion major, but I was a metaphysical major. I really love all the different religions and how they keyed into the power of the written word, which was really cool. I read a book called the King James book. Is a book about magic. I've always been interested in magic, because you basically you write something down, and that means something in the universe. It means something. It does something. Yep. You see what I mean? It's really, really cool. It vibrates throughout the known and unknown. I would say known, but it's also unknown. You know what I mean? And one of the things that's really cool is that I don't know about grow. What does that say? Grow. What do you say about grow fan? I missed that part.
Grow family.
Oh, cool. Yeah, exactly right. So I learned that that the words are so throughout history we have the religion and stuff, but we have all these people that learned how to write the words of power, how to do literally is magic, because if you write something down,
literally
you write the right combination of energy and frequency, you can actually not only heal things, but you can physically change things.
Yes, we call, or for my point of view, we call them wordsmiths, and words have power, just like love. It has its own frequency, vibration, and energy. And speaking of water, have you heard of Gerald Pollock, the fourth phase of water?
Of course.
We actually had him on Monday's show, talking with Av Singh and Leighton Morrison on the Soil Matters podcast. talking exactly about his exclusion zone water, etc. It was a fascinating discussion.
Nature naturally makes the force phase of water.
Exactly.
It's naturally done because the whole structure of a quote that the universe is a very well structured chaos. It's chaos, but it's very well structured. It doesn't happen by accident. That's why a math magician goes nuts, because you can see the math and everything. You can literally see how everything, the number 3 and then 9, and how everything is. You can just see it, right? So the math of it's really like, okay, so what does that mean? How does all this happen just to fall into place? And like as if, you threw a coin and all. No. So when this happens, something else is going on. And that's what's really cool about it, for me anyway. And I've learned I can read a book, but basically I just touch the book and I get the vibes already. I understand what the heck was saying. One of my favorite books is the I Ching.
The I Ching. I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah, it's I Ching. I Ching.
Oh, okay. Yes. Now I okay.
That's the actual name of it. And so I've learned that. So you have these, when you throw things, you have these different lines, right? The lines are also, number of lines. A line is also, right, power, words of power. But just it happens to be in Chinese, right? Right. And so each line represents a certain name and so forth. And when they put them together, the sound. Those are very, very powerful little combination of things. I got into mandalas. Mandalas are amazing because they're basically pictures of power. The words in a form of the energy that we can write it down. We're probably one of the few living beings that can actually write down these words of power, these pictures of power. Animals do not do that. Or birds or anything. We can take something and that, because I don't know if I have one here or not, but I like it when people send me stuff and I put it up and I go, holy cow, right? So I was just at the my favorite rock shop guy that I go to, and I've known him. I don't if I was to meet him, I say I don't know his name because I've known him for about 50 years, and where I see him,
the rock guy.
Yeah, he's a rock guy. He has a big band with rocks, and he sets them out and everything, and he has the ability to know that when they're magical, because then when you go by, you go, pull over, I want that one, So it's just day before yesterday, I was driving by, there he is, and you can see these beams, basically vortex going up. And I said, what the heck's he at? What's he doing now? So I pull over, I go talk to him. He said, well, I just had to decide, I have these crystals, and I'm just going to form them in a little pattern just to see what happens. And I go, well, you're doing that all right. And so that has like a fifth dimensional energy thing when these crystals get together and they form an energy patterns. And what's interesting is that in the human body, we're all basically energy.
Crystals.
And exactly right. We're all basically energy, and we're crystalline beings in lots of different things. Our body is made of, I tell people, evolved stardust, which can be gold, which can be gems of any different types. Our body needs 96 different minerals, which includes cadmium, mercury, lead, iron. All those things has to be in our bodies. And
the gold in our hair.
On top of that, the pineal gland is another interesting. See, there's the energy centers of the human. I don't know. I don't want to get. Can I talk about all this stuff, or whatever? This is my first thing. I'm just having a good time. I don't want to get carried away, but if you let me, I will.
It's the untold story, and in gardening, all of this actually comes into effect in the garden. How you feel if you put a stone out and you write love on it, and you put that in your garden, you're having an effect in your garden. The metaphysical in gardening is there.
Not just on your stuff, you have an effect on the soil, on the plants,
the biology,
on the insects, everything there. I'll give you an example. Everything has evolved together. You take human beings out of the picture, right? You take human beings out of the picture.
Yeah.
So you have this garden. Animals are in there eating, walking around, just like in the Bible where you have the lions and the bears and the lambs, and everybody's having a wonderful time. right? You know, but there's an energy that when everything's happy and healthy, basically the energy is being processed, and the way energy is processed, the way Mother Nature set it up is that it's the minerals that helps us transmit the energies. The minerals that allows us to have different parts of our electromagnetic field or electromagnetic energy fields work. The chakras are called energy centers for a reason. They're not because they transmit blood or anything physical. They literally transmit certain types of energies. And each one of these chakras are made with specific elements that's exactly what they do.
Yeah.
They tune into, and I don't know if I told you guys here or not, but I have one of my shows is called Cosmic Gardening, and I tell people, look, this is the way it works. So they're cosmic rays. Everybody knows what cosmic ray. Oh, cosmic rays, something, a beam of energy shooting through the universe, right? It's called cosmic ray. The origin doesn't matter, but it can go in and out of the earth in a nanosecond. A nanosecond is 1/1000th of a second. In other words, ping pong, right?
Yeah.
And in the process of going through the earth, it can literally split your gene into different segments, or create a new species, or create a new ability, right? And that's part of my. It's not necessarily my theory. I don't know where I picked it up from, but that's how people have evolved throughout the century. But when it comes down to it, we literally rely. So when these cosmic beings shoot through the earth, just say it shoots through iron or gold or magnesium or any of these metals, right? They, according to the frequency of the beam, whatever that is that's shooting through there, because it's not the same material, right? Not the same, right? And according to whatever the metal is they shoot through, it will absorb the frequency of that. It doesn't stop it; it's gone. It absorbs and the frequency is faster than the speed that it's traveling.
Okay, let me just stop you there for a second, Andy. Now, you look at the water.
You taking notes?
No, I'm not taking notes. I use my brain.
Okay.
But when you look at the water, and we're 97% water.
Yeah.
Now, I believe our genetic code for our entire body and in the entire universe is actually encoded in the water. Yeah. And those frequencies, those nanoparticles, may be the new twist in the genetic code that we need to overcome things. You like glyphosate. There was a particular biology that had to be developed to handle glyphosate. Did that come from an energy being coming through, hitting that water and changing it where the microbiology read it and went, oh, we need this now?
That's why life needs water. That's what the connection is really all about, because water has the ability of writing that energy down in the liquid and the water in the electrons of the water. The water itself can be written to. It's a very unique product because it also can be written to via your consciousness. Your consciousness can write to the water. Therefore, your consciousness can actually write to that energy. There's this energy. The truth is we're holograms. It's going to come out sooner or later. And hologram is another form of energy, right?
Yeah.
Exactly right. Yep. So the holographic field is what we're living in now. And it's debatable whether this is the source or there's something else as a source. So I don't think this is the source where everything comes from. Things don't generate in my brain and then goes out into the universe. It's the other way around. It comes from the universe and gets manifested.
My friend, that everything that we see and experience is us creating that around ourselves as our own matrices, and everything else beyond what we can actually physically see and touch doesn't actually exist. We create everything with every moment of every day. There's that possibility as well.
Just remember, we're all one. So the drop is different. The drop is different than the ocean, but yet you throw it is the ocean. It has the same consciousness as the ocean, and that's what counts. Good evening, Steve Nessie.
And that's the thing, like we can program the water. They're looking at using droplets of water at the molecular level as the new memory chips in our computers. That's how much information can be stored in a molecule of water. And you look at our bodies, the trillions and quadrillions of molecules of water in our bodies, you know, what's in there, what's programmed into us already, and what are we programming with the
I'll,
way we think
I'll tell you
in
some
our gardens too.
I'll tell you some interesting things that I found from experience. Inside the gene, there's the knowledge of every single manifestation of that gene going past in time, in time. I mean, it's like, so if this, we as beings, just say we've been here 100 million years, well, for 100 million years, that one gene of mine that's in here has programmed inside of it the knowledge of all those manifestations that I have done throughout all the, and it's slightly different than yours. See, right? You know what I mean? Slightly different and slightly different. And the water is the key to it, because the water is, so I make what's called gem elixirs. I started I started doing black flower remedies. Both require water as a way, as a transferring source, as a way to not only transfer but absorb. Water will, you can take information, put it in water, and keep it there. There are ways to get rid of it, but if you use it, if you use the water properly, you can use it, because water is very sensitive to energy, very sensitive to negative thoughts, very sensitive to that fifth type of energy.
Well, that's what our crystals are made out of, and that's why I said our bodies were crystalline beings, because of that water in our bodies.
We tune right into that. The idea of tuning is not just between a short, you know, tuning forward right this far, but it goes across the universe, across time and space, across dimensions. And that's the key. I just gave away the key as to how you can travel between all these different dimensions yourself, because you are tuned to this energy that is you. But in reality, see, the drop is not tuned into the drop is tuned into the ocean. See what I mean? Right? You can tune into the drop is, oh, look, I mean, but you're missing the ocean. So you, as soon as you go, oh my God, right? I'm the ocean. I don't even have to be, I don't even need to be put back in the ocean. And by the way, if you take the drop, you put it back in the ocean, you're not going to get the same drop. You can't find it again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that analogy is really very powerful in the sense that that's pretty much what we're going on. Only problem is that ocean, we think of it as an ocean. The ocean is endless. It's endless interdimensional time thing. And it's been going, it's like our brains cannot understand what an infinite number of, there are people say, oh, there's 7 dimensions, 8 dimensions.
There's more.
I hate to say it, guys, there's an infinite number of dimensions. Infinite number
every decision you make, whether it's to turn right or turn left, starts a whole new dimension, because that's a choice, and each choice spreads out, because one part of you went left while the other part went right. That's a whole new dimension.
You've been watching Doctor Strange again, haven't you?
What's that?
You've been watching Doctor Strange again.
I think I'm Doctor Strange some days.
In the multiverse.
Yeah.
And it was interesting too about writers and people who create things. They're not creating anything. They're writing down something that's actually real in another space and time, in another universe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's cool is that you can go between like that, just like that, through your consciousness. You don't have to. And when you do, you know, LSD, all these other mind-bending things, it tunes your consciousness to that.
Now that's what you're doing with your crystal elixirs, is you're tuning the water to get a specific result.
So what I do is just, I'll give away the secret. So I'm going to do a gem elixir for you, right? I tune into you. I get permission for you. I tune into you. Yeah. So I do past life readings. I do all this stuff. The way I can tell you apart from everybody else is tuning into you. You see, so when I tune into you, and at the same time I say, okay, I'm going to make it just, let's just say you want a gem elixir. See, people usually want gem elixirs for something mental, something's going on mental, for example, you know, or but that could be any number of things, from bad dreams to wanting to kill yourself to you know, all kinds of things going on, maybe being cursed. All these other things are mental things, because the mental cover is just as real as the physical one. Or it could be something. It could be something actually physical, where you hurt yourself. Somebody, you know, somehow you're not physical right. Something's wrong with you. A disease. It could be even a family. You have a family that's dying. So, but all of it's mental. All of it comes down. But so the point there is that when I tune into you, and you tell me I need help with this. So what I do is the fact that I have I don't have my tuning fork. You know a tuning fork. You hear that
Yeah. Oh yeah.
note, right? Okay, so you generate a certain note, and so when I listen to that note, I also visualize my gems, and they start to vibrate. I have this little
Hmm.
unit that basically is sort of like kinesiology because you have a little switch. I'm not happy to show it. I created this really cool system because it's kind of
Cool.
like kinesiology, but you I have all these gems in a little crystals that I can then I can touch down and I can do the light will come on with that combination is perfect for this thing. It balances out, it mellows it out. It's
Hmm.
like having running through a mastering device where it masters through music and it mellows everything down to where the harmony works together, right? Or it filters out some bad things. And then I take so I have it in my brain here, the frequency, and I say, okay, so these gems with this frequency will help that. And the way that what I do is I write that to the water.
Yes. Yeah.
And the way I do that is I have the combination of the gems. I put it in the liquid, plus the frequency comes out to the computer, so the computer will play a certain frequency. You have the base where it sits on is basically a light speaker because it can also pipe in the music, but it also
Hmm.
has two plates. If you study this homeopathic thing, you usually have
Yeah.
two plates. Yeah, one plate is the sender and the other is the receiver. Whatever you put here would end up over here in terms of the frequency, not the actual teleportation, but it sends the frequency over to here. And the
Yeah.
best tool is myself because you can buy things that
Hmm.
would do it mechanically, but you're the best one to. So I cut the threads off and I make it so that they're connected, but they're only connected when I connect. And you don't physically need to hold it or anything because
Yeah.
your brain is the one that physically it comes through here, it goes back out to the liquid. And if
Yeah.
you have ways of testing the frequency will be in that water. And then when
Hmm.
the person comes anywhere near that water or drinks it, because the ideal thing is you drink it. By
Yeah.
drinking it in your body, your things that are normally tuned in. Wait a minute, will pick up on that tune, and that frequency. They will start to get it in their energy system because the energy circulates according to the frequency. Like
Yeah.
do re mi fa sol la ti do, right? It doesn't go
Yeah.
do re da. There's a frequency pattern that it
Hmm.
naturally flows, and that's what the gem elixirs does. And the gem elixirs, what they do, and it's the most powerful tool that I've ever encountered because you can actually tune in to the frequency of the universe, the frequencies of stars, the frequencies of planets. See what I'm saying, right?
Oh
You know,
yeah.
and those things are very cool because we live with those things, and those are
Hmm.
frequencies that we're missing out of. We're missing out on them because we're not receiving.
Hmm.
We either a trace mineral deficiency will produce a deficiencies in these frequencies.
Yeah.
See, right?
Well, if you can't bring that frequency into your body because you're missing those particular minerals and it can't resonate inside of you,
You're not going to be one
then you're
happy
not
group.
going to be right.
Yeah, something will be wrong. You will not be tuning into that. You're not going to survive for long because we have evolved by listening to all this listening. There's lots of ways to listen. Your skin listens. Your
Yeah.
organs listen. For me, listening means you're tuning in. You start vibrating. Oh, I'm listening, right? And physically, if you're listening to something, your ear starts vibrating to what you're listening to. So basically, it
Hmm.
means you're vibrating at that same frequency, and you're getting the point. And your body, it automatically see the I started studying. I forgot what his name. Oh, his name was Donovan, if I can mention his name. And
Go ahead.
he teaches brain, mind. Let's see, mind training or brain training. I think it is. So
Okay.
what he figured out is that in order to let your body relax and absorb the energies, you need to get the mind under control.
Yeah.
And the mind takes over the body. Oh my God, the heart start breathing fast. Oh my God, this, that. You're not listening to a word. You're like, right?
Yep.
So I think he calls it brain tapping. So there are techniques that you do when you see my finger so that you can start tapping. You basically like this. You do the, right?
Oh, you're tapping the fingers. Yeah.
Yeah, you go like that.
I do that all the time anyway.
You have
I'm in
to.
trouble.
So you have to concentrate a little bit, right, to make it do that. And the more you concentrate it, the more your mind and your body starts to, oh my God, right away. And what happens is if you then play either drink the water and specifically put on, so what I do is I tell people wear headphones because everything's binaural. That means that the trick that I learned that works really, really good is to get your pineal gland to go like that. He goes, what the heck happened, right? Right?
Yeah, yeah.
The pineal gland is saying, I'm not really interested in any of this stuff, because it's used to getting without the headphones, it's getting all this information, frequencies surrounding it, and none of it's really coming in here and getting transformed to the way it's supposed to go, because the pineal gland is like, and a lot of times people overdo the drugs and they burn out your third eye. Is the same thing. The pineal burns you right out. A lot of times I've seen people with a big hole right there. I go, man, what blew up? What the hell happened to you? Oh, I had a really bad trip. I did too much acid or this or that or coke or booze. Booze is such a weird thing because if you can see what I see, it goes into your mind. It literally soaks your mind in this alcohol and you're numbing it, right? You're killing it. See, it's numbing. The energy is not flowing to your brain. The brain doesn't give a heck about what it is that you're supposed to be doing. All it knows is that I gotta go to sleep. I gotta crash out. And it's a slow process, right? See, right? But
yeah.
So and I learned, and what's really cool that you get. So I went to a place in downtown LA, and they have this eco fairs. And in the eco fair, they have these computers that takes a picture of your aura. I'm sure you've seen them, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. Trillion photography.
Exactly right. So I'm really into that because that's another thing that verifies what I do. Because I'm ready, and if somebody has the money, I'll just jump and do it now because what I want to do is set up a lab in a building. And I don't know if I told you this, but basically it's hooked into a computer. Everything's hooked into a computer. So basically, imagine you walk into a room, and all of a sudden the computer says, "Lie down here and relax." You're supposed to wear a cotton because that doesn't interfere. Please lie down and relax. And then it starts to absorb because the computer can see the frequency your body's putting out and the color that your body's putting out because it has a vision in the ultraviolet and the infrared. It can see a wide range. Okay, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean, right? So the computer can. If you teach a computer, that's why these programs are so good that do the auras because you can say, this is what it should be a healthy body.
Yeah.
And what is it you have over here? Well, you're missing all these other things. It doesn't even look like that. What would it take to do that? And quite often it's as simple as bathing it in a certain light frequency. So the computer automatically say, okay, all of a sudden it's bathing you in this cool orange light. And your eyes closed, you're going, what the heck? Your body's going to absorb in that, right? And it's the same thing with any disease, cancer, you name the thing, they put out certain frequencies, and there's always a frequency that will cancel that.
Yeah.
See, so imagine, and so for me, in my case, what I wanted to do, what I did at this show, I went there, and I wasn't carrying the gem elixirs or anything. I wasn't wearing it that day, so I had them take a picture of my aura. And I told them I make gem elixirs, and I'm doing this without touching it all day today. The gem elixirs, I make a case, and I can show it to you someday, that basically keeps the energy inside of it. Because my wife, the freak, she couldn't sleep at night. She says, "Why I can't sleep?" Sorry, I got to control the energy, right? And then the next day, when I came back, because it was a 3 day thing, I was carrying and wearing it. My aura was bigger than the print.
Yeah.
Print.
Yeah.
And it says, well, we can't see you. You don't have it. No, it's that the aura expanded beyond the print, expanded beyond the normal 10, 20 feet, and it was like gone. And that's just from the gem elixir alone. And what's really, really cool, and I'll give you one more example. So a lady contacts me because my best work is really done with psychologists, people who are, who deal with other people who are a little mental, or children.
Yeah.
Perfect people to say, this is a magical combination of stones that will heal you here. Put it in the pouch, carry it.
Yeah.
That alone will changes them right away. That alone will heal them almost immediately. It's definitely a kid, because the kid says, I believe in everything. I got it all here, man. I know what So what happened was the mother says, my 13, 14-year-old is a bedwetter. He's very ashamed about it. He can't seem to stop. We've done everything we can think about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I heard, did you do something with these funny gems? I said, okay.
The funny gems, yeah.
Funny gems. So I said, I'm not going to charge you for it because this is like, it'd be really cool if it happens because you'll be the first one that I've done it this way. I'll make it for you. You also need permission, and eventually you're going to have to tell the kid what's going on, right? Because he should know. And the one heard is just gems. It's not like drugs, nothing. The worst that will happen is you lose them. A lot of times I get stuff to people and they say, you won't believe it. Blew up. It's gone. I can't. I'm lucky I'm in here. I'll be here not smelling your cigarettes. That's not good for you. You know that, right? I can help you stop if you want to.
I'm actually hoping I can get some cannabis hemp and try to stop that way. But my problem is it's that, I do that all the time. Both hands. I'll have both hands going, running my fingers like that all the time.
What the nicotine does is it coats those junctions where energy travels. Energy it's not like you have one wire. They're synapses, basically little round balls. They're like that far apart. And the energy jumps from between one and the other, the pathways. And the nicotine coats that. It coats that. And sometimes you get a little spark, a little bit, but the energy doesn't jump. So the energy finds other ways to go and other things to do. That's why you're doing it. Your brain is talking to your body, and your body's telling you, I would pay attention to this because we have a problem here. You see what I mean? Okay. And that's all it really is. And so, like, one of the best products is called Suncorella. It's a liquid green algae that if you take it, it's like the chlorella washes that away.
I actually have some Suncorella upstairs. That and
are you taking it? Oh. Say yes.
Oh yeah. I just had my cat come to visit. Hold on. I hear my keyboard. Okay. Yeah. Cattail in the nose. Just what I always needed.
So the gem elixirs can be tuned. So I have these. See, when you do work with energy, people who deal with energy are attracted to you, or you're attracted to them. There's no way around it. So quite often people find me and says, I created this, right? And I say, oh, and doesn't have to tell me because I can feel it, I can see it, right? Spirulina is okay, but it's not called spirulina, it's called Suncorella. Spirulina is very different. And I have there's a problem with spirulina right now in that if you're getting it from that big lake, it starts with a K, and it's in the mountains somewhere, and they sell spirulina. It's polluted, and there are no really unpolluted spirulina around at all that I know up to my knowledge. And secondly, I started using this product called it's a blue-green algae. It's different than spirulina. And it was brought to the United States by Dr. Bernard Jensen. He went to Japan. He says, I have to figure out what you guys are eating. If you can have an atomic bomb and still survive and do your thing. And so Japanese have been doing seed stuff for a long time, kelp and stuff like that for a long, long time. But you have to eat a lot because your body can't absorb it. So he developed broken cell technology. They make it right here in LA in Torrance. Big giant vats of clean water, and they process it. And it's called it's a blue-green algae. Absolutely amazing. I've been taking it for 55 years. Right. Cool. Yeah. So if whoever the person is lucky that somebody's growing it and doing it, you see what I mean? That's really cool. A combination of the two is really, really cool because it does help your. It's the closest thing to hemoglobin. Okay. It's the closest thing, and it really will clean you out. It will get rid of toxins. That's one of the issues that almost everybody had, whether it be lead poisoning, heavy metal poisoning, all this ton of things poisoning are slowly destroying our electromagnetic field. You have to have a very powerful electromagnetic field.
Yeah.
Because you're being bombarded by electromagnetic waves all the time. I have a wide variety of tools that I use to protect my electromagnetic field. And I learned a long time ago, lodestone is one of the most important ones I've ever run across. It's called lodestone.
Yeah, I know what that is, definitely.
Right, tell me what a lodestone is. Go ahead. Because some people say yes, and then they ask me, I don't know. I just say yes.
Well, it is a form of iron pyrite
Yeah.
that is highly magnetic, and you can make them yourself if you know how. And it's a compressive force in a forge, and you have to use a heated forge to bring it to that density that makes it into a lodestone. It's like you can make your own magnets as well.
And it's the closest to the human magnetic field that you can find in nature. So by wearing it, it strengthens your magnetic field.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that your magnetic field is also produced internally. So your body generates this magnetism, and it does so because it's the combination of these trace minerals.
Yeah.
You have to have them in the right proportion, otherwise they become toxic, and the system starts to shut down.
As soon as you get out of balance, it's just like with our plants. As soon as you get the soils out of balance, your plants are sick.
It's what's going on between human bodies, not just human bodies, animal bodies, living beings, birds, insects, is that everything's becoming out of whack. Just like the soil is becoming out of whack. There's one of the things I like about alchemy, as above, so below. So it tells you what's going on in the soil. It's going to be actually happen in our body. It's also going to be actually happening in the universe. So the mycelium network is not just in our brain. It's not in the universe. It's also in the soil. It's the very same identical. And anytime you have anything identical, they are in tune to each.
Or they're supposed to be in tune. That's the problem. We're out of tune. Now, I just want to stop for a second. You mentioned your one song where you put on the headphones.
Yeah.
And I know that you have that on, what is it, SoundCloud.
Yes.
Tell the people which song it is so they can go to SoundCloud and listen. And you have to use headsets.
All of them you have to use headset. Every single one you have to use headset. This particular one is interesting because I learned how to create holograms, right? I said, oh, cool. So I learned how to make how it naturally spirals, but if you use the right frequencies, it'll make a hologram. That means you can look at it from all sides. It's actually a physical thing that it generates, except that you don't really see it in the physical form, but it does affect you. And so this particular one is a dual hologram. It makes two holograms.
Okay.
And if you're playing music, whatever, it takes it with you. It actually travels with you. And this dual holograms, what it does to your body, because if you put your headphones on, you're in the center of this dual hologram, right down in the center, and you're getting imagine these blades. You're in the place where you're getting a smoothie done, right? You're the liquid that's being blended, right?
Yeah,
exactly, right. You see what I mean? And that blending is what causes all your energy. What it says, the most beautiful energy was my husband's hour of 100 evergreen tea. There you go. See, this thing has an aura, and the aura is a manifestation of the elements that they're made of. That's what a refractometer does. A refractometer is actually a tool. The scientists look at stars and figure out what the elements are in it, simply by looking at the refraction of the light. That's why it's called refractometer. So the scientists said, I'm going to make it for food, because food needs to trace minerals, and therefore we're going to look in there and see if they got it. See? And as I said before, Mother Nature is so cool, because in the plant kingdom, she decided, I'm going to use sugar. Photosynthesis creates sugar. So we're going to make sugar. Sugar is going to be the wave that carries the particle, and the particle being the trace minerals. So the sugar will take the trace minerals throughout the body of the tree. There's a name for it when it gets dispersed out to everybody, right? See what I mean? And sugar is a system that transfers everything across.
Okay.
So the refractometer, you don't hear about it. You don't say, because it's really a measurement of sugar. Brix is a measurement of sugar levels.
Okay, then just don't look at me through a refractometer, because I got way too much sugar in me. I'm way too sweet to my wife, obviously.
Oddly enough, when I look at people, it actually look like looking at through a refractometer, because the energy people give off tells me a lot about them, not just in mental states, but in physical states, emotional states. You know, you can see it, the energy. You know, it's nothing like being in a place where everybody's meditating. You go, holy cow! I have to wear these glasses, you know, so that you don't get too sapped out. When I had my lenses done, I actually increased it, because the lenses replaced, and it actually increased it more. So it makes it very difficult to even be around a lot of energy thing because it's way too much. And I'm trying to not cause what they call it flashback because sometimes, I mean, I'm watching this show. I must have seen it about 20 times. It has to do with India. It has to do with these traveling group of people that will go around from one part of the city to another one. And they had this really cool monk in there, and the monk had an ancient vase. Inside the vase was another vase and another vase. And when they took it out, it was this interdimensional light that poof expanded throughout their country, but it also came out of the screen, came out of the TV screen, right through me, and kept on going. I said, "Holy shit, help!" Because that's and it really it didn't freak me out. It caught me by surprise. I go, "Holy cow!" Because it showed me that even in the movies, there's a reality that it creates in our time and space.
Well, because there is no time and space. Everything is at the exact same moment that you see it. And before we get into that, I want to point out something Silly Lily is mentioning. Super Nessie is one of the gentlemen on the chat, and he is tapping 21 different trees, collecting the sap and using it in his grow. And he's collecting the water out of that sap as well and drinking it. What do you think of that?
I think that as our consciousness expands, we are open to different ways the universe has provided to us. We have, my favorite thing is to think out of the box, because I would never starve with all this energy around me.
Yeah.
I was taught as a young, you have to eat food. You got to eat this. You got to eat that. When in reality, what I should have been told is energy. You need to eat the energy. You need to eat the energy. Yeah. And the trees, they also have, the trees are cosmic antennas. They absorb this energy. That's one of the things they do really good. Their root system and the leaves and everything are antennas. And if that tree is functioning healthy, right, it has all the trace minerals. It has more cosmic rays shoot through it than I do. See, right? That's why the trees are, especially if you're eating the sap, because the sap, it's got the trace minerals in the sap. See, the sap is the blood of the sake, right? See, right? Yeah. And there you get your trace minerals. And a lot of times you're going to find certain trees are better at certain trace minerals than other ones. That's why they're good at eating as opposed to other types, because the other types have certain trace minerals that they pick up.
Well, I think maybe it could be how deep their roots actually go into the soil. I was talking to a gentleman about something like that, and the deeper the root system, the more minerals that is drawing up. And it's also drawing up a more ancient biology that lives at those depths that we haven't seen on the surface of our planet for a long, long time. What do you think of that as a possibility of getting some of the biology we're missing on this planet from the deeper depths through the trees?
I think that the increasing the biology on the surface will increase the biology below ground. That's one way to get to the biology. You see what I mean? You make it conducive. The reason why they're not on the surface as much because the environment is not so conducive anymore for them. So by increasing the biology on the surface, it will make the surface more conducive to the deep roots. And that's exactly one reason. Anything that has roots, their primary job is to bring the minerals up.
Yeah.
So I used to give a walk in Putney, Vermont. So this is the third time today I mentioned Putney, Vermont. And my walk, I could tell the condition of the soil by the weeds that come up. Each weeds are specific in what minerals they pull up.
Yeah.
For example, dandelion is iron. So if you have dandelion growing like crazy, you're deficient in iron. And when it dies,
it's calcium.
And when it does, huh?
I thought dandelions were calcium.
Oh well, they calcium too, but the main thing that they pull up is iron. But they have a lot of calcium. See, the calcium and iron. I remember Leighton was talking about calcium, the important role that calcium plays.
Yeah, well, it's one of the main building blocks we need.
But you'll find that calcium is one of the tools that plants use to pull up these minerals. So it has to have a certain amount of calcium in order to be able to pull the minerals up. It doesn't pull them up by themselves. So you don't have to worry about the calcium, because if it didn't have the calcium, it's not going to be pulling up any of these minerals. So so there's a bunch of other things that go along with it as well. Some of the exotic ones, chromium, cadmium, even mercury, lead. All these are needed in a certain amount, prescribed perfect amount, because they will pull up like a magnet, pull up what's needed for the body. Basically, it's for the plants and for people. You know what I mean? That's the key to it. That's why I key so much into the microbes and getting such a blend of different types of sources of microbes. Right?
Mhm.
That's the way it is in nature. Mother Nature doesn't say, okay, all the microbes are this name over there, all the microbes are this name over here. Even in other countries, because they say a lot of these plants are growing up with certain microbes, there's still a blend of microbes in there. So
There
thousands,
has to be.
if not billions, of different kinds of microbes, all right. Are you leaving? Yeah. Is he coming or going? I can't tell.
No, it says, cheers, everyone. Hope you're all feeling fine. He just martial artist just showed up, 50 minutes in. So he's a little late, but he's here. So, okay. On that note, okay. And it's the,
Are you taking notes, by the way?
Pardon me?
You should be taking notes.
My friend, this is pre-recorded, or this is recorded, so I'm going to be able to go back and watch it as well.
Oh, cool.
But something you said really keyed in and makes a lot of sense to me now, where the dandelion's bringing up the iron, and I was thinking it's calcium, but as Leighton said, the calcium has to be there basically as the binder, because it's got the spots where the molecules can bind to it.
That's
Without
right.
the calcium, you wouldn't have the availability of that binding. So that's a little data point that I didn't have before. So thank you very much.
Not just the in order to have calcium, you have to have other certain trace minerals. You don't have those, you're not going to have the calcium. It's a chain reaction. The way it works, it starts off at a certain level, and then it grows from there. If you have this, and we'll have this. You don't have that, you're not going to get this. See, and so it has a lot to do with what the plants are evolved in the soil, what kind of soil they evolved in, because the soil could be rich in certain minerals already, or could be truly deficient in certain minerals. Yeah. And Mother Nature is really, really, very good. You leave her alone, she'll find a way to get something that's only found in a certain part of the world over to this plant.
Mm-hmm.
She will find a way to do that. You see what I mean? And so the fact that a lot of places and people are deficient, that means that Mother Nature is no longer transferring what she's normally would do. She's not bringing stuff from all the different parts of the world and just dumping it right here, right?
Well, have you heard of quorum sensing?
No.
Basically, what it is when your biology gets together, forms a massive community, and it can actually make new biology from the genetic code that it has available that will go out and mine those minerals that are missing so that they do come back into a soil system.
That would be totally logical for me. That it would be very silly for an organism to say, well, we can't mine that. We might as well just die. They will evolve to figure out a way to get that.
And that's what quorum sensing is all about, is creating the specific biology that goes and mines for that specific element to bring it back into the system.
So you might say, that's what I've been trying to do without knowing what I'm doing. I was just going to get a little bit of everything. Some of it's going to have to work here. That's essentially the same thing. Is if I knew what it was, I would get it together, but I don't. So I get all the different kinds of microbes, put them in one place, make sure they got a good environment, and they will start to evolve and form.
They'll make it for you.
They'll make it right there in that place. And you can tell because the place is really different than these other places, which are having a hard time watering a lot. There's a lot of people have filtration systems for the city water because the city water is constantly killing the environment. You have to teach them, everything you're doing is geared to killing everything.
Mm-hmm.
Very simple.
Disinfecting it so that we can live in a bubble where nothing lives, because we have to have that biology for us to survive, guys.
Exactly right. And it's gotten really, really, I started in 1970. They're already doing that then.
Yep.
What I mean? So the people say, oh, we've gotten along, more and more people are organic. I think the same number of people are still organic as before. I think it hasn't really changed in all the number of crazy people using whatever they get their hands on. That hasn't really changed at all because the powers that be, the chemical companies, have gotten better at sending the mess. When you have Miracle Grow saying we're organic, people are going, oh, okay. Hey, that's wonderful. They're organic. And so and then the chemical companies buy off the organic companies so they can take over the organic company, and then they add their chemical to it. People buy into what's called the organic company, but not really organic. They're the chemical company. Yeah, so it's like,
and they do it behind the scenes, so you don't even know they bought it out. And all
exactly
of a
right.
sudden, you're getting these chemicals you weren't getting before.
So I had a friend of mine. He's really mad at him because the guy thinks he's always better than me. He knows more. But basically, what happened was, he came to my house. He said, "Oh, I'm going to take a picture of what he uses, and I'm going to order it." Really smart. Now I know, because I do tons of different things. So he took a picture of this one product. I'm not going to mention the price. He goes up to Amazon. He orders it.
Yep.
Turns out it had been bought out by another chemical company. This is an organic company, very good product.
Mm-hmm.
This chemical company bought it out, didn't change the label, except in the very back it says, "See our website for details."
Yeah.
And so when I get stuff, I look. So my friend has no idea. When he looks at the back, it's supposed to be organic, and you see urea on there. You're going to go, "Well, I don't think it's organic." Right? Because urea kills worms, kills them, kills bacteria. It has to have a different source of, and then nitrogen. When you have all these chemical fertilizers labeled there, it doesn't say anything. It just has the ingredients, right? You have to look at ingredients and go, "Well, this is not organic." But you assume because it says organic, it doesn't say certified organic, right? So things that are not certified organic could be anything. You can have one. So what they did was they kept the kelp and the kelp product, but they added the fertilizer to the kelp product, and they say this is kelp, natural kelp. It is. The kelp is natural, but not the chemical fertilizer. And I even said a little comment. This is not a natural product. It's not an organic product. This is a chemical being sold as a natural product.
Yeah, exactly.
So
right.
that's getting worse and worse and worse. And even the chemical companies, I don't know if I mentioned this, but pest control companies, all they have to do is have one product that's organic, and they can label it as organic company.
Yeah, exactly.
Or they can have their name, Mother Earth, and people say it's a wonderful company.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it hasn't really changed. What has changed is that the chemical companies have gotten smarter as to how they're going to convince people otherwise. The whole genetically modified organism is a perfect example. They have a strain that say GMOs are bad. They were taken to court, and they proved the GMOs are totally safe. So there is a little word, because in the law is the words that you have to use. Genetically modified organism gets broken up into three different categories. You see, you have genetically engineered, which basically, as simple as that, you take one gene, you splice it on, it will be chemical otherwise. And you have a genetically mutated, but basically you do the radiation to it, right? And then you do what everybody a good gardener does. It's like if I have a tomato plant that's doing really good, I will grow that, take the seeds from that and grow them again. And that's take the seeds and grow from that. That's genetically modified. Okay, so every product in the market, human beings are genetically modified because we're not the same as our parents.
Mm-hmm.
So they got thrown out of court because they said the lettuce you're eating, the carrots you're eating are all genetically modified and it's totally safe, just as fine. But there should be a law that says no corporation can own a product that's they can use to the detriment of society.
But then who classes what's a detriment to society? And you got to consider that everything out there is all about marketing. That's how we've got tricked into believing these chemicals, etc., aren't bad for us. It's all the marketing campaign that these companies put out there. That's where the label, read the label and watch for the small print.
Something is a detriment to society is very difficult. You make a product, you're putting Roundup in the product, and you're telling people it's totally safe because it's a gene, there's no way you can get it. And that particular product, when it goes out to the world, actually destroys other organic products, it destroys other plants, and eventually the Roundup gets back in again. That's a detriment. Whereas if it was a government or organization run for the benefit of humanity, they could be creating products now that will stay on top of the climate change. For example, corn. Corn normally takes a long time of growing to get used to growing at higher altitude to be warmer, right? But if you genetically modified it to grow at higher altitudes, higher temperature, and still be healthy with all that stuff, and over literally in a few years, wham. So you say it can be used for the benefit of mankind. Right now, it's being used for the benefit of this particular company.
It's being used to make them money.
Right. So that's the same thing with everything. So you really have to follow. For me, following the easier route is basically keying into nature and being help, doing a good environment for her. Produce your because your consciousness will change. You know, you'll be in that place where I don't like going into any of the eating places because you can see that there's no food coming out of there. The people that come out of there are going, "Holy cow!" You're right. You know, they're not even thinking. They're like little zombies. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But it's harder and harder to find places you can buy food that you can eat. So the bottom line is you really have to start growing it yourself. Piece of land, get a garden growing, and get a heirloom. You can't even just go out of the store and buy regular seeds. You have to buy heirloom seeds. That means that seeds that were grown organically. You know what? So there's a study. They went out. They bought 100 seeds in one place. They split the seeds in half. This is going to be organically grown. This is going to be natural. This is going to be a neutral, and this is going to be chemically grown. And they decided after the test, there's no difference.
Yeah, right.
Of course, they used the same seeds. And nobody, not one of them was an organic farmer. Not one of them know how to amend the soil or the whole process of what it takes to help healthy soil. They just plotted it down. They're right next to each other, you know. And the chemical one actually did better because they're using chemical. They were spraying. The organic one didn't do too well because, you know, they're not organic farmers. They have no idea how. If it was me, I would have said, first of all, I would be 10 miles away from you guys. Secondly, let's do it for 10 years.
Yeah.
Let's grow for 10 years and see. You keep record, I'll keep record. And let's see who can grow more over time and better food and cost less.
Well, and then it's also the environment. If you're putting a seed back in the same environment, it adapts to that exact environment over time and becomes healthier and more attuned to the biology there, the weather patterns there, etc.
Exactly right. So I have a seed bank, and a lot of them are third or fourth generations that I grew in that environment. I lived in Malibu. They liked the ocean. The first time they didn't do too well. The second time they did better. Keep getting the same seeds over. Same thing with my pot plants. They would at first they say, "Oh no," then they say, "Oh, this is nice." Because a lot of times, for example, it's very foggy there. So they have to learn how to adapt to that. And once you get a strand that really likes to do it, then hydroponics is another good, perfect example if you know how to do it organically. Because a lot of people are saying hydroponics is natural, but they're using chemicals in there. They're not organic. So if you do a organic hydroponic, the person who talks about organic, hydroponics should say, if you tell the truth, if you're organic or chemical, you'll find that there's a difference. You have to be a good chemist to provide all the chemicals needed if you're doing it hydroponically. See what I mean? That's basically, if you're a good chemist, you know how much is needed. You mix it together. The plants are going to get it to some extent. I don't know anybody who's really that good a chemist to really get, not overdo it a certain mineral. You know what I mean? It's really easy to screw up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then you're out of balance, and then the plant suffers.
Exactly right. So I just learned Mother Nature's very good at that. Let her do it. Just make the environment a good space for my product. It's called Super Seaweed. I actually invented for hydroponics.
Oh, there you go. So Cheryl Moore, you can check out Super Seaweed. I think that's on your website. So here's the website address. And it's usable in hydroponics.
Check out my newsletter. Sign up for my newsletter and my book. I'm doing a plug too. My book is called Don't Panic, It's Organic. It's one of the best ones I've ever written. I really cover it. And I'm getting ready to do an online workshop because I find that what I'm talking about, I think is easy, but people are going, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Because I want to go to the store and get something I can spray on this bug. And it's not the bug's fault. It's the bug is supposed to do that. That's what the bugs are supposed to do. Hey, this is food for me. I'm going to eat it. What? You don't want me to eat this? And I wouldn't eat it.
Grow it healthy.
I tell people if it's food for the bug, it's not food for people.
Exactly. They're there to break that material down into its molecular structure to feed it back to the next generation so the next generation can be healthy. But yeah, if you're being attacked by bugs, then your plant is not a healthy plant. It's as simple as that.
And it doesn't have the trace minerals that you need, and that bug is going to take advantage of that and use it because the bugs, and I explained it before, and I don't know if I said it, but last time we talked, I said the difference is a healthy plant produces complex carbohydrates. An
Hmm.
unhealthy plant produces simple carbohydrates. The bugs love simple carbohydrates; they'll eat it up. They start
Yeah.
chewing on complex carbohydrates. No, I'll leave it alone. And they evolve, knowing I'm not even gonna have to taste it. I can see there's something I do not want to eat.
Yeah.
I don't have
Yeah.
to. I don't have to taste it, but it's just in case. Oh yeah, see. So they have a little built-in reflector. Their eyes break down the light and see. It's green. That means I can eat it. Blue, orange. Oh, it's the wrong color. I'm not going to touch it.
Now you're saying that a lot of insects have basically a built-in refractometer
Yeah,
in their lenses of their eyes. I know, like bees, for instance, can
yeah,
actually change their vision from color to black and white because the color vision takes more energy from them,
yeah. That's
and they
cool.
want to save the pollen that they're consuming to
That's
get back to
cool.
the hive.
That's cool. Yeah, you're going to find that all insects, not insects, all living beings, except including human beings. I mean, if a human being was not as evolved in terms of technology and we're better and all this stuff, but I tune in, you can see it's just like the insects. You can see the
Yeah,
different colorations of the plants and of the environment of other people. You see what I mean?
it's
You
like
can see
seeing
it.
the aura.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. That's
that's
what
your auric field.
that's what all insects, all other living beings do that. Animals look at
Hmm.
me and go, "Oh, that's pretty, man." I go, "Yeah, you're pretty too." So we're reacting to, and we see that. So it's not a special thing. That's what we're really trying to get back into.
Yeah,
Uh, you
that's
know,
the untold story.
there's a book you will love to get called "Survival in the 21st Century" by Victor Kovinskis. It's a
Okay.
hippie book. It's done in the early. I think I got it in '72. It has to do all about fasting, all about kinesiology. It reflects all how to meditate, eating properly. This guy was into a breatharian
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing. I liked breatharian except I die here. The air is toxic.
yeah,
When,
pretty much, right?
when I was when
You're
I was
California air.
when I was in Costa Rica, I was eating either eating air, or I would have a little bit of mango, a little bit of banana here and there. In Spanish it's called ropa vieja, old clothing. So people will give me whatever food they have left over, some rice and beans, stuff like that. Never eat meat or anything. Even now I don't like eating meat at all. But I was down to 139, and it was like, okay, but I don't like it. So I'm really getting better at remembering what I should be eating, like my plants and my nuts and stuff like that. So I'm learning. I miss living in a tropical environment because you walk around, you pick your food.
Yeah,
You
and it
literally,
was healthy food. It was full of the water that you need
yeah,
and
yeah.
the minerals that you need.
I used to go, "Are you ready?" It would drop in my hand. Thank you, and I would eat that.
Yeah,
That's the way it was. So it's a big difference the way we're living now and the way we're quote meant to be kind of thing. And that's what it's
hmm
really all about. Because either we have to get it together on that level, or the universe will just spit us out, and it's not going to start over again. There's no way. There's no guarantee that life is going to come back as we know it, or even that life is going to come back at all. You see, I mean, because there are lots of things that had to happen by chance or whatever you want to say it,
hmm
right? Whatever. I'm working a lot now with a blue flame, the violet flame with ascended
Okay.
masters. That's very cool energy that you can tap into. I'm not a heavy Christian, but I believe in ascended masters, beings that have evolved throughout the centuries, and they're here to help us, and that's what they do. Because we have the capabilities to be angels and beings like that too, but we have to get our head out of our ass, right? You know what I mean? And so we,
Yeah,
we can't go down the path of being money being our master. We have to go down the path of being guardians of the planet, and that's a very
yeah,
different environment. You don't do it for money. Yeah, you
yes,
don't do it for money. So that's
yeah,
what basically what I'm about. And I find I'm very grateful that I can go. People pay me lots of money to bring their soul back to life, make their plants and everything grow really well. And I keep telling, I said, let me get this straight. You're paying me to help heal the soul, but what you're doing is you're dumping all this stuff. You're not supposed to be doing this. What are you doing? Because that's what they do. They
yeah,
tend to go, I bought some of this stuff I'm going to use. This. No, you don't. You see what it says as warning. It causes cancer. Why do you think it says that, right? And these are chemicals that once you introduce them to the natural system, the biology goes nuts. It causes crazy bios to take over, you know, and that's when you end up having with diseases and pests in the plants, and sooner or later you already have a disease in your brain to buy the stuff, right? Right?
Pretty much.
Right, and you have the disease in your brain. You go eat any of this stuff either. You go to restaurants or any of the big chain stores. There's no food in that, right? There's no food whatsoever. So you wonder. Then go to the doctor and say, take 2 of these and see me once a week for the rest of your life. Keep eating what you're eating. Everything's fine.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Just keep paying me. I'm fine with that. Just keep paying me. Yeah.
Right. It's the same thing with flu shots and all these different kinds of shots. I've always fought it as a kid. My parents said, you need to take this tetanus shot. You need to take this, measles shot. You need to take this. And I said, no way. I'll say, you know, my brothers did, but I never did because I still don't believe in that. I believe that, fine, let me get the disease and I'll let my body deal with it. That's what I want.
And if you have a strong body, a strong aura, a strong biology, your body is going to deal with it naturally.
And the strong aura is the key. It's a shield. It has to work its way through that field to get to you. The diseases and pests have to work their way through you. The bugs, a lot of times the bugs will carry, and the bugs have to find you. They have to tune into you, you know. There's a big difference. I tell people, I wrote a book, How to Control Mosquitoes. It's just 1 page. And then the patient said, all you have to do is, of course, you should eat well, healthy, and all this stuff. You know, that's it. But if you're still getting in a place you're getting mosquitoes, take a garlic clove, cut it in half, put one in each shoe, and you're taken care of.
Huh. Okay, that's the one I haven't heard. A garlic clove.
Your body will absorb the clove to your feet, and you get it off your skin. And so one of the things that are bad about eating meat is that the mosquitoes and these creatures can smell the carbon dioxide and so forth that you give off as a meat eater. They can smell that, and that's what they're attracted to.
Okay, that's a new one on me.
Yeah, that's a big difference. There were studies found it between the non-meat eaters and meat eaters. Mosquitoes will go to meat eaters every time. Yeah, every time. You know, and so the garlic is wonderful because I use the garlic as a natural tool. Many things you can use, you can learn to spray. Basically, the garlic interferes with their ability to send and receive the signals. That's what it does. The smell of the garlic, if you can smell it, they will definitely get it. Yeah. That's why I learned how to use different essential oils and learn how to make different liquids. I learned a long time ago it's the microbes you want to be spraying on them. Literally, you spray the microbes as a foliar application onto the leaves. If there's a bug there, if there's not a good bug, the bad bug will definitely not like it. Yeah. The microbes won't touch the good bugs. It doesn't bother bees. Isn't that curious, right? The microbes are, you're good, you're bad. You're good, you're bad. See, you know, the whole system is there. We're the ones that really are functioning outside the system. Yeah, that's right. You taste it in the person said if you rub garlic on the sole of your feet, you taste it in a second. Yeah, exactly. And you smell like it. I started doing that when I was a kid in high school. I would come up and go, hi there. And they would go, oh, my God. Oh, my God.
You're bad.
In the shower, you know, they would go, what is that? And I would be smelling, reeking of garlic. And I did that. My favorite thing is to make a garlic sandwich. You have a little piece of a sandwich bread. You can buy 10 cloves, put them in there, crush them up, and you start eating them. And I get sent to the prison. What are you doing now? Sir, I'm just having my lunch. Your garlic bread lunch again, Lopez? Yes, sir. Well, you're disrupting the class because you'll smell and reek of garlic. Especially your breath is it, right? And one doctor said it's actually reverse flushing. If you put the garlic in your feet, it comes out the backwards. It reverse flushes toxins from your system. Really very good. And it also works for coyotes and mountain lions and ratters and stuff like that when you're camping. Right? Because they'll smell the garlic and I go, no, I don't think so. Exactly.
Right. I don't want that stuff either, man.
No, exactly right. I make occasionally people with horses would tell me to make a misting system using garlic. And you'll smell it. So I have a fertigation unit which I add garlic to it. It filters out 1/1000 to 1 in the water. You go, but it kills flies, all kinds of creatures on contact. It's the sulfur that kills them on contact. There's a product you buy called Mosquito Guard. right?
Yeah.
And garlic guard. The mosquito guard is 100 times more concentrated than the garlic guard, and that's already really that's thousands or so different bulbs in the gallon, right?
Yeah.
Garlic bulbs. Garlic. So there's a lot. So the key to using natural deterrents is their smell. Essential oils are really cool because they have really high frequency levels. They all have very interesting smell. You learn one drop in 5 gallons, a wonderful tool to use. You can learn to use because other creatures will tune into that. What is that? And if they don't know what it is, they're going to leave it alone. They're going to leave it alone. So the coyotes, all these creatures, what do?
Yeah,
right?
sniffing along.
Right, exactly right, and they'll know. So that's part of the learning process. It takes over years to learn.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm happy in the sense I'm doing something that I enjoy doing. You imagine I've been in business since 71, 72, doing the very same thing, so that I get a little better at it. And I still have a hard time explaining it to people. What is it exactly that you're doing now? Because I learned, well, I've expanded my vocabulary. Now I talk a little bit more about the biology, because I always say I heal the soil. But I love saying, it's healing the biology, because that's a little easier for people to understand. Biology, they see something's alive.
Well, you can refer to their gut biology, and everybody's heard about their gut biology.
Exactly right.
And they go, oh, well, okay, that makes sense.
Exactly, because you say heal the soul, they go, what are you healing? What is it that you're trying to? I don't get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and for me, it's obvious. Well, there's something in the soil I'll be healing, right? What is it I'm going to heal? And they have the faintest idea. Worms, right? So
it's a lot more down there than worms.
It's a process that it's going to take a while, if at all, because the powers that be, the mass of the public, the mass of the world, we're going to starve unless we don't do the chemicals. They start in the United States. They're going to start building nuclear power plants. They decided nuclear power plant is the greenest and safest way to make energy.
Yeah,
the cleanest and safest way to make energy. Very little pollution, if you don't count the nuclear waste.
Yeah. Oh, well, who would ever count that, Andy? Come on.
So it's like they're saying, did this study, nuclear power plant can save us from climate change because there's not going to be any pollution. And it doesn't say a word about radioactive waste, but I'm saying, as long as you don't figure out, you don't count the radioactive, because they don't have a place to store it. The U.S. government a long time ago says, you produce a nuclear power plant, give us the waste, we will store it for you. They have not been able to store it any place. So now nuclear power plant have in their backyard the tanks that there's, in San Diego, that power plant, the nuclear power plant that's shut down. Well, the radioactive waste is still sitting there.
Yeah. And it will be for a long, long time.
And it's not just staying there. It's going out to the ocean, going out to the city of San Diego. Mm-hmm. And you can see it, and people know it. Scientists know it, but they're not. And they got the nerves. Let's do more nuclear. China, one new nuclear power plant every month. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, okay, so it's bad enough that we're having this, but now we're going to have a nuclear ice age.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to have radiation and the ice age. And radiation is like thousands and thousands of years. We cannot evolve through that.
Although I think that, you look at Chernobyl and how the biology has covered that and is holding and grabbing those isotopes and holding them into the structure.
I read about that. I thought that was really cool. They have
in Japan. Fukushima, they're using biology to clean up that mess as well.
I thought that was really cool. I said, okay, that's good. That's a good sign, But you have to make the biology. So if you're in an environment that everybody's having a rough time, you have to figure out a way to make it, to give it to the microbes. So it can be done, but you have to have the system in place, right, to make the stuff to give it to them. You can't just throw poop at it.
Well, Mother Nature does a hell of a good job.
Yes, she does. What she'll do, she'll get rid of all human beings on the planet and start to create things that will control it and figure out how to. Like I said, no guarantee that we're going to have the same life, but maybe the microbes may develop into something.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Theirs will still be here, be very different. Human beings may not be around here because we can't seem to be. be harmonious with our environment. We destroy.
I think that that's a lot of the reason that I'm doing this channel and have created this channel and all the things that I'm trying to do, and you and Leighton, Av, a lot of the people that I interact with, is we're trying to bring the awareness to enough people where we can make a change before it's too late.
It's there's a name for that when you reach a certain level of mass, that it changes the whole equation. So right now, I would say we're in, like I said before, the amount of people that are into the good guys compared to the amount of people that are like not really there, it's like 90% of these people on the planet are like, woohoo!
Yep, pretty much. Actually, I think it's 95% myself.
Literally. And so that small amount of the people that are going to wake up is not enough to generate the rest of these people to do something. And so there has to be a mass communications thing. By the way, Mother Nature is going to do that for us because we have heated up the planet right now. Big Ben is going to go through some major problems over there pretty soon, where it's going to blow up. It's going to do all kinds of things to the earth. There's the world's largest underwater volcano erupted recently, and they're going, what the heck? And there's like 10,000 of them underneath the earth, and the earth is heating up because the coolness is what really kept it in place. So we started all kinds of things going on now. There's like, even if we were to clean up our act with the microbes, we're still going to have a problem with the earth going on.
The only problem with that is when the earth was knocked off its axis, it's actually righting itself. It's trying to come back to balance. Like I followed the Inuit, the northern Eskimos, if you want to call them that, in the high north, and the ice cap has not melted. It has moved. They're getting more hours of daylight than they ever have in their recorded history. Their season is longer, so it's not that that the ice caps are melting. Our planet is moving back, trying to find that homeostasis, that balance. Every volcano sends out a shock wave that kicks us a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And even in your backyard, you have a volcano that's in Northern California that the alert level has just went up to yellow. They're expecting it to blow any time. There's one in Vancouver, Canada, they've been waiting for a long time. There's volcanoes all over the place, and every one of them that goes off creates a shock wave, which moves our planet. Mother Nature is trying to fix herself, but she works on a geological time scale where we don't. We're a very short-lived time span for us.
Right. And I think that part of the issue is that we have caused all these changes radically faster than ever before. So Mother Nature knows that. The system goes, this is not right because this is not supposed to happen for a while yet, and we're not even here. There are physical forces are in play that will tend to balance everything out, because that's the reason why it functions the way it is. The seasons, and all these different things, the Gulf Stream. So, but it doesn't work in a sense of our lifetime kind of thing. It could be quite another different story there, and maybe that's why when the world starts to gain the balance, we may not be around to enjoy the process. So as far as
the fruits of its labor.
So for a lot of people, this is it, because I understand about the shifting of the axis, and I don't think it has really shifted as much as people think. It has shifted, but again, it's shifting back. It's so like a little wobbly kind of thing going on there. If it had really shifted considerably, we would be having massive tides and massive tsunamis all around the world. So that then what happened.
I can agree and I can disagree in the same breath. There is a balance that has to be maintained in our environment, and you're not going to get these massive reactions because we're on a massive planet. So your tsunamis, that's caused by a landslide or a volcanic eruption. That's just one shock wave. We talk about energy, frequency, vibration. That's one shock wave going through, and that causes one wave or two waves or three waves, where the planet it's shifting very slowly, but it is shifting. Like you look at the GPS system, globally, the positioning, they've had to, I think it was supposed to be 2030 that they were going to update the GPS around the world for tracking. They had to do that 20 years early because ships were 200 to 300 miles off of where they were supposed to be by the GPS. So they had to recalibrate. So our planet has moved that much already, but they're just not telling us it has.
So it's all very interesting. I'm not enough of a geologist to know exactly what is going on there. Something's going on, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
And
there's a lot going on.
Right. All I can do is what I can do. That's what people do. We all can do just exactly what we can do.
Yeah.
And we have to work on it to try to do our very best, because it's still, you know, I like the movie Never Give Up. You know, there's still a lot of chances for things to get better. And these are good opportunities to make good changes.
And that's why we preach biology. Fix the biology. That's going to help us all survive. And maybe we are going to survive as a species long enough to see these other global changes.
Well,
to our benefit.
I would personally would like that. I may not myself be around, but if humanity could eventually get it together to survive this and be more conscious, I think that would be a good lesson to learn, right? And to start utilizing, because the Earth has an enormous potential to really take care of all these people on the planet and be a healthy environment. Right now, it's getting more and more toxic, which is not a good thing. Yes. See, and that's what the Earth is trying to do, to figure out how do we get rid of this.
How do we fix it?
Yeah, how do we fix this? How do we fix this problem? Because it's really getting out of hand. You know, if there is a God, God will come here and go, "What the heck are you people doing?" You know,
you're a bunch of idiots.
Now you're eating the animals. You're not supposed to be eating them. You know, and the animals are going, "Oh my God, they're eating us! They're eating us!" So it's like, right? So it's a strange one. It really is. You know, like my little garden in the background.
Yes, it's beautiful. You know, I need a green screen so I can have that kind of stuff in my background.
I don't have a green screen. You can do it without a green screen.
Oh, okay. You got a higher speed internet than I've got, because I can't do any of that kind of stuff with the latency of speeds that I have.
Oh, are you hooked up over the Wi-Fi?
No, I'm hardwired, but I only have 1 megabyte of upload speed. So I don't have enough speed to actually, you know, produce a picture behind me and actually use it. So
yeah. So did you tell everybody I'm gonna be here next week too?
Pardon me?
Did you tell everybody I'm gonna be here next week?
Well, I hope you're going to be here every week for we're doing this every Wednesday,
guys. I'd like to talk
a
lot more about the garden. It would be really cool, about the soil, and I can even answer people's questions about pests and diseases, because it'd be very interesting to see how they are connected. We can talk. We can help people to use a refractometer, how to best use that, because it's a tool. And once you learn how to use that tool, people will say you're crazy. Here, look at this, right? Look through. Go shopping with a refractometer and tell the grocery, can I have a little piece, and put it on there. And pick the one that it tells you the highest, and says, I wouldn't eat that because there's only like a 4. Crying out loud, right? Nothing in the 4. You know, like apples should be like 25, 28 level. See, so if you're at 10 or lower, that's not. Your body's going to go. It's to be like a savings account where it costs you more to put money in. It's going to cost your body more energy to get rid of that than it's getting.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe that's why most vegetarians aren't actually able to maintain good health, because there's no nutrition in the food they're actually consuming.
Right. So vegetarian is useless if you're not eating organic food, organic produce. It's even better if you grow it yourself, because then you know what's in it. You have to rely on the farmers, because a lot of times you talk to these organic. Did you put any trace minerals? No. Then where are you getting trace minerals? Oh, the soil is so good. Have you done a soil test? No. You didn't do a soil test because you know there's nothing in the soil. There's no trace minerals in the soil. You do a soil test. You didn't
do a biological test either.
Exactly right. They're not going to do a biology. They very rarely do a soil test just to tell you what the pH is. To me, a pH level is very important, because it tells me what microbes are, because they only live in a certain pH level.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And there's certain biology that can live in an oxygenated area, and then there's a transitional biology, and then
Right,
there's the biology that lives deeper down that
right.
doesn't need the oxygen, right?
Exactly. It's different ones entirely, right? So I learned to work with certain biology because that's what's on the surface that you
Yeah.
want. But
Mhm.
eventually, the biology is different, and people destroy that when they do planting. They tear the soil up and they destroy the different layers that are there for a reason. You know,
Mhm.
that's a problem. That's a big problem. Road tilting is a very, very big problem because it also releases carbon back up into the air. It stops its carbon. Because normally
Well,
the
it's
Earth,
killing the biology that's holding the carbon in their forms, and
exactly
you're
right,
also killing universes. Every clump of soil that the biology is stitched together,
it's
that's
a unit
literally a universe to the biology, and we're
inside in
just
there.
breaking it up, you know.
Inside of there, there's more microbes in the small piece of than there are billions of stars in the sky.
Yeah,
That's what
in a
that's
in
what
a,
I'm thinking.
I think it's 1 square inch of
Yeah,
soil, there's
yeah,
more biology than the
yeah.
human species on our planet.
Exactly right. You know, so that's
Yeah.
like, so the biology is it, and I'm glad to be here and talk about it. And
Mhm.
what I want to do is I want to get people to get involved, ask questions, talk to me about. I mean, I can talk about all these spacey stuff. That's cool. I really like to talk about how to help you grow your best food, how to deal with the pests and diseases, how to make your own liquids. You could do this all yourself. You don't have to go to the store and buy anything. If
Yeah.
you live on a farm and you don't know how to do a worm farm, for example, it's bad boy, right? You
Yeah.
have to have that. You have to learn how to make the. I love to talk to people about compost. They have a faint idea how to make compost. You know, it may look good, but send it off to a lab. The guy who says there's nothing there,
Yeah. Yeah.
nothing
Well,
there.
send it to Leighton and he'll look at it and go, "There's no biology here. This isn't compost. This is just dead."
Yeah, Leighton should charge because I send it off to a lab. They charge a lot of money to tell what biology is in there. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
exactly.
But that's what people really should do. And look at the biology first in your soil. And if you have lots of biology, more blended biology, the better your soil is going to be. But you still
Yeah.
have to provide the minerals.
Mhm.
You see, because normally in nature you don't have to do that. But if we're taking the place that Mother Nature is not doing that normally, and you'll find lots of people will do this, tell you that you can get it in the soil. Yeah, normally that's the system. You're supposed to get everything from the soil. But
Yeah.
Mother Nature puts everything in. If the system's not there to put everything in, we have to also be Mother Nature. We have to give it the trace minerals, give it the things that normally should be done naturally by animals and when the animal dies, the bone and the hair and all that stuff goes right back into the soil with the microbes with it.
Yeah. Now you wanted a question, so here is a question. But what about compacted clay soils uh, and a compaction layer? Is it okay to till once to add structure?
Now the thing with clay is, and I know about clay because I live here in California, it's all clay. And so it's not soil. You have to understand the definition of soil. This is substrata. This is subsoil. It's below the soil level. That means that normally you have a layer of soil above that. Normally you
Mhm.
have a layer of soil above that. So if you take away things that normally are falling down, leaves and stuff like normally decompose and making soil, you're going to eventually have nothing up on top. You have this clay
Mhm.
to grow in. So ideally what you need to do is you need to go up, young lady or young man. You need to go up. And if you want to go down, yes, you're going to have to dig. Literally, what I've done many times is I've digging out like a raised bed in the ground. Go down a few feet, dig it down, make the bottom so that it has a drainage because a lot of times these clay will not drain. It
Yeah.
sits in water. So I put little pipes to go down so it drains a little bit. Put about maybe a foot of layer of rocks so they have a layer that it can drain down into. And the sides of the bed, I would add rocks to it. Or last time I made it on a wine glass. I put wine glass, filled up the bed above the soil, and in there, and I'm 6 something, so I can stand in there, and my head barely sticks up above the level. So that's how deep you want to go. And that ideally you want to go up like a raised bed, make it out of rock work or wood or whatever. And
Mhm.
in that space is where you make your rich soil. So it's like you're
Mhm.
growing in a container right in there. See, so it's protected from gophers and stuff
Yeah.
like that. You have a raised bed, and you can grow 7 times more in that same area than if you try to rototill it and grow in there because you can only rototill not even a foot of the stuff, and it's not gonna decompose. turn that clay into a nice humic, right? Into humus.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. This clay is not soil. See, people, when they call it soil, that's the thing. Think of it as subsoil. It's below the soil. So in the long run, you need to build up, start adding more, bring soil back in. Never take a leaf out of that property.
You need organic material.
Right. I get a shredder, shred everything that falls down, shred it, start a pile, letting it start decompose. Make compost, add compost and soil to it. Because that's not soil. Things will not grow in this clay because it chokes, it needs oxygen. The microbes don't live in this clay environment. They won't.
You do need a certain amount of clay, but you need a lot less than a mound of clay. It's a very small percentage. You need also the sand, the silt, the clay, the organic material blended.
Yeah. I tell people always blend it with a local source. You have clay that you like to call soil. You take some of that, you chop it up, you blend it with your compost and with your soil, blend it all together. Because there are some things in that clay that's good for it. They have their specific types of microbes, but these microbes are not the ones that are going to benefit your plants.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, do you use a broad fork at all, Andy?
I have, but not recently, because as I get older, I don't make compost. I don't make compost anymore. I try to make deals with people who do make it. I buy it from them, right?
No, I'm saying a broad fork. Do you know what a broad fork? The long tines that you put in, stamp down, and break your soil up that way?
No, as I said, I used to when I was young. Okay. I don't really do that anymore. Go down in there and try to dig things up with people. I can tell you what to do. You have the energy, fine. That's what you should do. If you live in California, you either have to make raised beds, right? If you make raised bed, don't just put it on top of the stuff. Dig down into it as far as you can go. You'll be happy that once it's in there, your plants will grow like crazy. One lettuce can go down 4 or 5 feet to root systems. You see, right? So if you have all that space, and even then, after maybe 10 years, you're going to have to dig everything out because the soil gets used up, blend it with something else, and put some new ones in. Like when I have 4 beds, I would always let one bed go green. That means I would grow peanuts in it. I would grow all kinds of legumes in it, turn it over, right? See what I mean? Let it cook itself that way. So you want to, ideally, have 4 beds, you rotate them. Every year you have a different bed, you're growing something in there green, let's call it green manure. Let it break up the soil, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Because the more that you allow it to breathe and the biology to get in there and break everything up, in a grain of sand, there's enough calcium to support 1 acre of cannabis in 1 grain of sand, but without the biology to break that molecule out of that grain of sand, it can't get to the cannabis plant.
So what I would do for this person or anybody that's growing clay and you want to do a raised bed, you literally make in the center of the bed a vertical worm farm. So it's like little drawers that you can buy them now. You can build into it, but basically it could be 1 square pipe that you put into the ground as deep as you're doing. You have holes along the side, and it goes up a little bit with the top. You put your food and your worms in there, and the worms will produce a liquid that will be absorbed by the garden. The worm juice alone will break down the clay, the clay, make it looser, make more humus, allow more humus down in there. The roots allow the roots to get in there because the clay is really, what happens? You get clay and water and heat, you get porcelain. So this stuff is super hard.
Yeah.
See, it's super, super hard. You want to break that up. There are many different products you can buy, but the best one is make your own worm juice. Use the worm juice to pour the microbes into this environment that will soften up the clay and make your raised bed grow well. Your food grow better. Yeah.
Well, and you need that lofty soil for the roots to go through and build that structure underneath. And the clay platelets, when they're stacked so tightly on top of each other, not even water can go through. That's where when you break it up and it forms the proper hexagonal structure that everything flows through, and your water moves through, your biology moves back and forth easily. Clay is a necessary part of soil just for that, but it has to be in balance with everything else. It's all about balance in our bodies in nature.
The same thing with sand. So you have sandy soil. So you want to be able to learn how to blend it together. So so the whole thing, basically, what you're doing is you want to make an environment for the microbes to grow in, the different microbes, because you have microbes growing at the very bottom of the bed, different than microbes that go in the top layer, and that's the way they normally, like condominiums, different floor levels.
Yeah.
Think of it that way. See, and the roots will go through all these different levels, and the roots are the ones that tunnel through and do it. And eventually, you're going to have to get some worms and put them in the beds. So, and if the worms are surviving, your bed's doing good. If your worms are dying, there's something wrong.
That's a really good point. And yes, everybody should have a worm farm. And, you know, if you dry out some of those worm castings, put them in a gel cap, consume them, because that's good biology for your stomach as well.
Exactly right. Because we were hooked into the earth a long time ago, and we decided to get up and walk around. It took us a long time to figure out how to bring the soil with us.
Yeah.
You should see the very first case that we had to carry it around. And that's not going to work. Or have 4 balls. One big ball was really your tummy. Eventually, we got it so where we take it with us. We take the soil with us. And that's what it's really all about. The microbes in your tummy. And I was telling people the other day that your stomach is your brain. So in the soil, in the earth, the soil is the brain.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
And if you're out of balance and your brain is melting, you know, it's not going to work too well.
No, so if the earth is out of balance and the soil's brain is not functioning, it's not going to work too well, and it's going to be very bad for anything living on the planet.
That's us.
That's us. It's going to be very bad for everything. Yeah. And we humans are the ones that are causing the extinction of everything else. We're taking everybody else down with us. It's not like we're just going to kill ourselves off. Oh, no, we're going to go take every living thing else with us. When we're dead and the sterile planet, it'll be like, okay.
Okay,
right?
Here's a question from Silly Lily. Andy, is there any way to save trees that have been drowned in standing water? They're trying to come back but need help.
Right. So the idea is if you can get the water to run away, because as long as it sits in standing water, it will choke it. So you want to somehow get the water to start running off to another direction, right? And you may make a little dig in and make water run one way. The water you have to get the water out, where you pump it out or whether you let it run off naturally. So if it's sitting there, it means that you need to eventually figure out a way that path the water will take for the future. And then if you get the water out there, lots of things you can do to help the tree to recover faster, because ideally you want to start incorporating different things that will suck up the water. So the microbes are very good to inject into it, but you don't want to do it with more water. You want to add compost. Ideally, I would add like a nice mulch and turn that over to
the water is gone. I think maybe she's referring to maybe it flooded before and it hurt the trees, and this is another year and they're trying to bring their trees back.
So you need to feed it, and the way you feed it is you foliar spray it. So you want to start spraying the trunk and the leaves of the plant. And you don't want to do a fertilizer, because the fertilizer will stress it out more. So you want to have a minerally rich liquid. So ideally, I'm a crazy guy, so I buy stuff that's minerals for humans.
Yeah,
comes in a little bottle, minerals, all different kinds. Very same thing. You take a little bit of that. That's why my super seaweed is basically all these different minerals. And you learn a certain amount. Too much is no good to it. So in the middle. And it depends on what unit you have. If it's a tree, there's a little device. It's a brass siphon unit. A little device hooks up to the bib. You hook up the hose to it, and it has a little tube that goes into a bucket. A siphon. And in this bucket is where you make your liquid that has the minerals in it. You don't even want just the minerals. You want to also have as much different type of microbes in there as possible, because the microbes are going to eat the minerals. So if you just spray the plant minerals, the plant doesn't have the ability to absorb the minerals. But if you let the microbes eat the minerals first, right, and then spray it on the leaves, they'll get the minerals, and we'll encourage them to start putting on new growth. Okay, and that's a key to helping them recover, because you can't put any more water and stuff in the roots. The roots are done. But it's like intravenous genes. They will get the food, and then you help them to relax, and they'll start to grow. You don't want anything with nitrogen in it. You want something that's nitrogen pure. Like you can make your own teas. You learn if you have compost, you make compost tea. You spray it.
Worm casting tea if you've got a worm farm.
Tea, coffee, cream, and sugar is one of the best things for plants. Coffee is acidic, cream is the calcium you need, and sugar is, I use molasses, Granny Smith's molasses, which is rich in iron. You see? And you learn too much, the answer having a good time, not enough. So you want to learn the strength, and it's better to have a little bit than a lot, because that's what you want to do. And you want to filter out the water. You want to have a garden filter, get rid of the chlorinated water, because that's also not healthy. So you get a garden filter in a 5-gallon bucket of clean distilled water. I would add in there a couple of the whole liquid should be coffee. So you make a batch for yourself, make a second batch of water of this coffee. And if you have 5 gallons, you just have to keep refilling it, making the same thing. Put the coffee grinds back in again, make another batch, because every time, as long as what I do is I actually buy coffee. I don't buy it for me to smoke. I drink. I buy specifically to make it for the plants. See what I'm saying? So I get coffee. I make a batch of coffee, put it in there, make another batch, keep making it from the very same thing, as long as it's dark. So I could have 5 gallons of just coffee, right? I put in 5 gallons, you want 5 cups, 1 cup per gallon of milk. And the milk should, of course, be organic. And ideally, it should be whole milk, because the whole the fats is one of the things that's very, very good for the plants and the minerals. And then you have the Granny Smith's molasses. You want at least 1 tablespoon per gallon. So you got 5 tablespoons. So in that mixture there, you stir it up. And ideally, if you're really crazy like me, you buy a bubbler, the little device you can buy.
Aerate it.
And aerates it. So it plugs into the wall. It has a little tube that sits in the bottom. And the aeration will make everything go nuts in there.
It makes the biology come alive, and it's the biology that breaks down those components and gives it to the plant. And also consider, guys, it's not just that you're giving it the nutrients, you're giving it the biology that actually breaks down the stuff out of the molasses, etc. And it's the biology that builds with those building blocks. So you're giving it the crew that needs to be going in.
The biology eats first. And the poop and the liquid that comes out from the biology is what the plants absorb. There are many different kinds of liquids you can use. Another one, speaking of milk, because the calcium is very important for the plant to recover. So you want to make a liquid from rice.
Yep, the lactobacillus.
Exactly. In that same 5-gallon container I wouldn't use the coffee. I would use plain water, because the acidic and milk are not going to work too well. Milk is alkaline. Acidic is acid. So you have a 5 gallon of your distilled water, and in it so what I do is I have it's basically a gallon of the big wide mouth jars are used for making sprouts. So in there I would fill it up, which is basically a gallon of clean water, with the exception of 1 cup of milk. No, excuse me, a cup of rice. So what I do is I take a cup of rice, fill it up with water, throw the cup of rice inside of it, right? Stir it all up. You know how the water would turn milky, right? Normally people do that anyway, to throw away the liquid to cook the rice. So you take you pour it through the screen again, you keep the rice, you can cook with it, whatever. You have this cloudy liquid. So this cloudy liquid, what you do is you add a cup of milk to that. You put a cheesecloth on top, you put it in a cool, dark place. Within 2 weeks, you can see all this foam, white stuff forming on it. You scrape that off. The liquid is the lactose that you want to use. And you take, what I do is I take a gallon of that and dump it in my coffee brewer and end up with 15 gallons of this liquid, which I then go out and spray. If you can spray it on the leaves of the plants, they will instantly get the new, because it's a long name. You said it, lactose.
Lactobacillus.
There you go. And they automatically will break down the nutrients for you. So in that same liquid that I would make, I use a product called C90. It has 90 different trace minerals. SCA 90. A little bit goes a long way. You also find a variety of other different sources of trace minerals you could use. The idea is don't go with one thing, go with a blend of different kinds of trace minerals. So I buy 14 different types of rock dust. I put them together, put some in the pantyhose, put it in that 5 gallon water, squeeze it, make a little tea out of it. And that's what I give the lactose 2. They go nuts with it. Blah 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 blah. You spray that, the plants absorb it instantly. If you were able to do a refractometer before, during, and after, you're going to see the bricks really going to shoot up through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what plants normally want to have, is a high bricks level, but they usually normally get it through their root systems.
Yeah.
They will get it if you foliar spray, because they also absorb it through their skin. But you have to do that at least once a week, because the plants in that condition are going to be starved. They're not getting the nutrients they need.
Mm-hmm.
See, so if you give them the nutrient they need, and assuming that the water is time to drain off, a lot of times what I do is I have a sprayer, which is a gig to pump the sprays. So I'm fortunate because that also pumps air.
Mm-hmm.
So so when I have a bubbler, I'm all this air in there, and I have it's actually a deep root feeder that actually is pumping the liquid in there with air.
Yeah.
Into the soil. So you have these microbes going being pumped into the soil, and the soil there, the microbes are, but I believe that they're also in the sleeping state. They're like, I don't want to talk about it, you know. And giving them the air there, because that's what happens when water chokes them of the oxygen. So that's
there's no air.
Give them the oxygen they need, and that would really help go a long way to bring them back. You can't be putting anything on the ground because it isn't going to work. The root system's not working. Yeah. It's like if your stomach's not working, no matter what you eat, you're going to get sick and vomit. It's not going to help you. That's why doctors do intravenous feeding. They pump it into your veins. They're getting the nutrients in there your body needs. Your body goes, oh, wow. After a while, you say, I got to eat something. My stomach is going to go. I got to eat something. Right? So that's what I would do is intravenously feed them. And the way you do that, foliar spray them. Okay, so you can get a small little device. I have a 50-gallon unit because I'm an arborist. I spray big trees. So it depends on what you have. But you can get this little unit that will siphon it out of the bucket. You can put a hose dip on it and spray the trees with that. Suck them right out. You see what I mean? That would really work. You owe me some money. Send it to me. Buy
his book at least, come on Amazon, The Invisible Gardener.
I'm happy to help people out. But you see, it's really very simple. And once that happens, then you have to know, okay, this is prone to getting water here. So you have to make sure you get the water runoff. That's why I have a little drainage. Figure out a drainage way. Even if you dig nothing, but put a pipe with a hose in it in a way so the water goes in that pipe and goes off somewhere else, because it's going to happen again.
A French drain.
All that really means is that clay is not draining. Water is not going down. It's just sitting there.
Mm-hmm. And if you get the right biology in there and loft up the soil, then the water will actually drain right through.
The clay, the biology with all the humus and everything will break down the clay. That's why the clay is there, because people have been taking away the biology. Nothing's falling back down.
Yeah, taking away all the organic material that the biology needs to eat to survive.
Exactly right. They're scraping away, blowing it away, and there's nothing there. And that's the problem. I have a friend of mine who says, I got to pull up the weeds. Hey, if the weeds want to grow, let them grow. Let the weeds grow, because the roots of something, anything wants to grow in that place, let them grow. See,
well, I don't like to use even the term weeds. I like to use early transitional plants, because those plants are here for a reason. And they're generally the ones our bodies need to heal us as well. Exactly. You look at Herbalist book, those are the weeds.
Exactly right. I tell you. So you have a thing against dandelion. Have you ever had dandelion coffin? Have you ever eaten the roots? Have you ever used it as a medicine? If that dandelion wants to grow there, then I would say, great, let it grow and then harvest it. You'll find that it's breaking up the soil. It's providing oxygen to the soil. It's helping the soil. And you can, other things will grow there too eventually. But if you
breaking up the clay.
Exactly right. So if you want to have something, the lady wants a medal. She wants to automatically have a medal. No, you have to have all these things growing in here throughout the year. They will, and then forget about a lawnmower. You went and cut it up with a lawnmower. It sucked it all away. I'm going, so much for having a medal, because things die, right? And they decompose and they return to nature. Animals go there. They do their poop. So you say, I don't want any animals. Well, yeah, that's what metal does. They have rabbits. They have all kinds of creatures coming around, because that's part of the system. You know what I mean? Imagine having
a mulcher mower, so it leaves the mulch in the grass and
I told her,
don't take it away.
I told her exactly that. So I don't want to leave the grass there. I got to rake it all up. I'm going, oh, you should right? Exactly right. So it's like it's a process. It's a definite process
Of
because
educating.
we're so sterile, and then we want to know why. And I'm going, well, well, maybe you may want to think again about weeds, because we call them weeds, but they're not weeds.
Yeah.
You know, their job is to say, okay, you need iron, and I pull the iron up, and when I die, I'm full of iron and can't use it, and I give it back. You know, and that's, as a matter of fact, you eat that, you're going to get the iron.
Mm-hmm.
The animals are going to get the iron. All right. Animals know when they don't say that's the weed I'm not going to eat. They say, good, I want to eat that because I need that, right?
Yeah.
Right? All animals know when they need the minerals, and they know what to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Us humans look at it and go, that's a weed, I'm not going to touch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
When in reality, that could save your life.
Yes. And very quickly, depending on what it is, like milk thistle, and like I said, like look at any herbalist book, and everything that's in that book that you're supposed to, process and consume, everybody else calls weeds.
And they throw it away. Exactly right.
Yeah.
So
and our soils need it too.
It goes back down to her consciousness, but she doesn't like that word consciousness. You see, you know what I mean? So she says it doesn't really. That means that getting to that space, right? Getting to that conscious space where you're more like a monk walking around is not an easy task.
That's right.
You're more like a warrior going around with a gun and a knife or something, just shooting and killing everything that moves.
Remember walking tall? Walk tall and carry a big stick.
Yeah. My favorite one is a Circle of Iron.
Okay.
David Carradine and a bunch of other masters, kung fu masters, wrote this incredible story called Circle of Iron. And it's about basically a warrior that's looking for the magic book, a book of wisdom. And he goes through all this trials and error, and he finally gets to there. And I'm not going to tell you what's in the book. Maybe I should. I will, right? Or maybe I'll do a spoiler. The very last book is a mirror. The very last page is a mirror. Mm-hmm. He opens it up, and they're looking at it and says, there's nothing about a mirror. He says, yeah, you need look in the mirror, and all the answers will be revealed. I go, holy shit, right?
It's all inside of you, my friend.
So the way all this is good, because it basically the earth is saying, you want to stick around? Mm-hmm. I kind of like the idea of Eden. How about you guys? I mean, don't you think we should have an Eden back again? And that's what it's all about on a certain level, because we really got so far off right now that it's very difficult to even be. We're sicker and sicker, and we're not getting healthier by what they're doing for us. True. No. I mean, wheat is not the. There's this thing called All About Wheat. Or no, What's Up with Wheat? You should watch it. Mm-hmm. The wheat that we have grown with for thousands of years is not the same wheat we're eating now. Not the same wheat.
No, not even close. It's been so modified. Although there are some strains that you can still get from places that are the original wheat.
Other countries, exactly right.
Yeah, so other countries.
I stopped eating bread because I have to get it from some Italy or some other place like that. It was like $1 billion just to get a loaf of bread, when the stuff around here is like it's totally dead. The animals wouldn't eat it. The birds would go, I'm not going to eat that. You're kidding me? I'm not going to eat that.
And your neighbor goes, oh, that's good for you.
Yeah.
Right,
and
buddy.
He's really super fat and dying of a heart disease and this or that. How many pills am I going to take today? So it starts with you. It starts with one person. Yeah. We want to meditate more while we're eating, meditate more while we're growing. I try to get kids to learn how to grow. They have no patience. So you start a garden. I come back the next week. What did you all do? Well, we're looking for the vegetables. They didn't come up. They pull up the seeds. They would pull them up and go, is it growing yet? I says, you just killed it. Oh, my God. I said, no, I did not kill it. They try to put it back in again.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. They have no idea that the food comes that way, and you have to learn patience. Yeah, it takes a while. I let them grow radish, because within a week the radish comes up. Right? Come back to radish, but other things, they and then they're growing, and they pull them up and say, "What do you think?" I'm going,
I think you just killed a kid.
You just killed it again, right? So it's a sad scenario, and I'm hoping that it'll get better. What else can we do, right?
Well, like I have a saying that I put up: one lit candle can light many without ever diminishing its own light. And you and I, my friend, are lit candles. A lot of the people in our chat tonight are also of that mindset and want to share. And this is where it all starts: is having these conversations and bringing this awareness out to more and more people. And eventually, if enough of us are out there talking about it, then we become the majority.
Well, that's what the Aquarian age is about. We're about 5 degrees, maybe 6 now into the Aquarian age.
Mm-hmm.
So it's overlapping. This is the period of time where the Piscean fish are going, we're not going. We're not going to. You mean you want us to be flying in the air instead of in the ocean? So either they will have to evolve or die. And when they die, then new people that are born, to them is normal to be flying in the air.
And we hope that those ones that die are going to, have something to give back into the soil, to the biology, so the next generation can be better.
I don't know if those that die have anything in them that would be any good for the soil. They should get. That's why they get cremated. See, they get even the ashes are really bad. Because normally,
they're acidic.
Normally, when you die, you give back your body to the earth. And it's a good deal, but not when you're toxic.
Yeah. Well, Andy, we're at 2 hours, my friend. We should probably call it here. And of course, we're going to be back next week, guys. And I don't, Andy, do you have any events or anything that you're going to be going to? I know I've got some events to announce. But do you have anything coming up where you're giving talks or anything?
On June 24th, Amigo Bob is having a soil. He does a really good microbial things, organic fertilizer. Okay. He's doing a little thing in Malibu on one of the local speakers with the Malibu Foundation. And then I'm hoping to do a lot more of that. I used to do it all the time, but as I get older, I give it up. I really don't like traveling outside my city.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working on doing more like virtual workshops, like we're doing now, but through online. I think that's a really good thing to do. And like I said, the book is going to be used for the workshop, and I'm really just excited to do this more and more because I thought I was doing it for a long time. I didn't find anybody at all that did this stuff until I ran into Leighton, and Leighton turned me on to you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that there's always hope that we can eventually stop with the chemicals. I mean, everything comes down to a chemical. I know a friend is a chemist. Everything is a chemical. It's true. We're all chemical. Yeah. So it has to do with what's natural, right? What's meant, Mother Nature's meant for us to be using, as opposed to, quote, the chemicals. So the problem with chemical fertilizers and stuff like that, they do not get all the proper nutrients in the form that they need. That's exactly it right there.
Yeah, there's natural chemicals, and then there's man-made chemicals, and there's a freaking big difference between the two.
Nitrogen is not the same thing as urea. It's 4600 as the one you find in nature. Not the same.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay, well, you're going to be there, Andy. Anything else you're going to be doing?
No, I'm doing all my stuff. I do my music. Go to SoundCloud, look up Invisible Gardener. You'll see my podcast on the soul to the soil.
Yeah.
I'm doing my cosmic spaceship, which is my music and my artwork. And I'm still out there doing my thing. Follow me. I think you'll love the worm farm. You'll love everything I'm doing. And, of course, come here because this is where I love that we can talk to people. That's what I want to start doing more, having more live thing. I tape it, but I really like people to guide me, ask me a question, and that's what
the direction you want to go. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and for me, guys, of course, I'm going to be at the Grow Up Conference in Edmonton Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We're live broadcasting from the conference. We're going to be interviewing the speakers. There's over 120 speakers going to the conference. Leighton Morrison, Dr. Av Singh, John Burfello, Dale Rook from the OG's Power Hour, and myself. And we're also going to be interviewing the vendors that are there to show any highlights on new products and features that are coming out. So you're going to want to check that out. It's going to start broadcasting live on Sunday. And of course, we're going to be doing the OG's Power Hour from there with Mr. Toad joining us. And we're going to be doing the Soil Matters. We're going to see who we're going to have as host, because Leighton's supposed to be flying at that time. So we're might have some surprise hosts for the Soil Matters this week, guys. So check it out, and we'll see you guys there. Andy, thank you so much. I'm going to hit the end broadcast.